this video, we are going to discuss or explore more about society and culture. Society refers to a group of people living in a community, or according to MacIver, it is a web of social relationships, or it is a group of individuals sharing a common culture, geographical location, and government. A society is characterized by the presence of the following elements. First one is social solidarity, whereby members of the community live together for mutual benefit. Second, shared identity and culture among members that serve as basis for their patterns of action and behavior. Third one, a common language, a large population, and the ability to sustain succeeding generation of members. Fifth one, definite geographical area. We have a certain location. And the last one, political, economic, and social organization. So a society composed of these following elements. Social scientists have also identified the 5 major types of societies according to how they change and developed over time. The first one is hunting and gathering communities. This was way back several million years ago and were considered the first societies. Next to that is horticultural and pastoral societies. Their emergence was brought about by the gradual shift from the hunting and gathering lifestyle to a more sedentary life and the introduction of agriculture as a more stable food production method. And around 10 years ago, the development and spread of agriculture led to the emergence of civilization in Mesopotamia and China, and this brought about the establishment of agricultural societies. In this time, food production became more efficient due to the new methods of farming, the invention of more advanced tools, and the establishment of permanent settlements. Meanwhile, the beginning of the Industrial Revolution in England during the latter half of the 18th century transformed agricultural societies to industrial societies. Because of the technological advancement, this resulted in the invention of machines that improved production. So, the latter portion of the 20th century, many countries have become post-industrialist societies where knowledge is a commodity and technological innovation is a key to long-lasting growth and development. Next is culture. It is one of the important bases that define and influence a society. Culture is a way of life or the art of living. It refers also to movements. Meanwhile, the beginning of the Industrial Revolution in England during the latter half of the 18th century transformed agricultural societies to industrial societies. Because of the technological advancement, this resulted in the invention of machines that improved production. So, the latter portion of the 20th century, many countries have become post-industrialist societies where knowledge is a commodity and technological innovation is a key to long-lasting growth and development. Next is culture. It is one of the important bases that define and influence a society. Culture is a way of life or the art of living. It refers also to a set of beliefs, ideas, values, practices, knowledge, history, and shared experiences, attitude, as well as material, objects, and possessions accumulated over time and shared by the members of society. And we have 2 primary categories of culture. First is material culture. It refers to physical objects shared and utilized by people. Example, furnitures, books, buildings, historical buildings. Material culture, these are concrete and tangible objects. When we say tangible, this can be touched by our hands. The next one is non-material culture. It refers to intangible properties and elements of society that influence the pattern of action and behavior of its members. Example, our belief, values, attitude, ideas, and norms shared among members of society. Though individual societies have varying histories, experiences, identities, and organizations, all of them have four vital cultural components, and these are symbols, language, values, and norms. Symbols refer to things that convey meaning or represent an idea. They are essential in communication, shaping thoughts and ideas, and defining society's culture. The second vital cultural component is language. It is a set of symbols that enables members of society to communicate verbally, spoken, and non-verbally, which is the written and gestures. The third one is norm. Norms are shared rules of conduct that determine specific behavior among society members. And the fourth one is values. These are shared ideas, norms, principles that provide members of society the standards that pertain to what is right or wrong, good or bad, desirable and undesirable. Now, norms and values can be confusing sometimes. So let's differentiate the two. When we say values, examples are honesty, integrity, courage, kindness, fairness, and generosity. While when we say norms, this can be categorized according to their social importance. So we have three types of norms: folkways, mores, and laws. Folkways are the norms that may be violated without serious consequences. Examples are the practice of waiting in line, no? This practice brings order to the process of buying things or receiving services, allowing us to more easily perform the task of our daily lives, no? Kung magpalitan na siya ang tawag ani priority number para or naagi ta i-follow nga line para organized jud. And also that's why we have online appointment to labi na sa vaccination para mas organized jud. The second type is mores. It is a norms with moral connotation. Example, lying, cheating in sports, being a third party in a relationship. Kumbaga, maka-violate gani ka no sa mores, ma-trending jud ka. Example, no, sa may bago nga trending ka ng third party. Though, basta naanay uyab, dili jud mangilog or another example katong kang kabitchi nga story, no? So, that's an example of mores also. The third one is laws. These are norms that are legally enacted and enforced. So, kung kini siya ma-violate, mapriso gyud ta. So, it depends no sa level of violation nato. What are the examples? We have murder, adultery, and illegal drug use. Now, let's proceed to the process of culture and identity formation within society. And this is facilitated through socialization and enculturation. Socialization refers to the lifelong process of forging identity through social integration. What does it mean? It is the process where we acquire the knowledge, language, social skills, and values. Enculturation, on the other hand, refers to the process by which an individual gradually learns or acquires the important aspects of his or her society's culture. It is the process by which we learn the requirements of our surrounding culture and acquire the behavior and values appropriate for the society's culture. So the main difference between the two, socialization focuses on the acquisition of knowledge, skills, values, habits of society, while enculturation focuses more on the acquisition of cultural traits. Class, it is important to understand that culture is dynamic. So when we say dynamic, it has a constant change because there are elements of culture that have remained through the ages, but there are also some aspects that have adapted to the realities of the present context. So what is context? Context refers to a particular circumstances of a certain culture and is defined by location, weather, time period, and other factors. When we become aware of the whole context of our own culture, we are able to understand that some of its aspects are shared, some are contested, some are indigenous, and other are influenced by other societies. Example for this, a foreigner is planning to visit or is planning to stay in the Philippines for good, no? Let's say mga 3 to 5 years. Stay siya. So, probably 1 year from now, though wala sa ilahang culture ang rice gyud, no, every meal, but since mostly makadungog ko sa TikTok, mostly part na sa ilahang system ang rice, since almost all the restaurants and the fast food na part sa meal man jud ang rice. So munang na-adapt nila ang culture sa Pilipinas. And we are down to our last concept, which is society and culture. According to the 3 disciplines, these are anthropology, sociology, and political science. For sure, these terms are already familiar to you because this was discussed in lesson A1. And so let's just have a recall or review about the 3 disciplines. First is anthropology. It considers culture as the center focus of its discipline. It examines and provides explanation for the existence of different cultural patterns as well as similarities and differences between different cultures. In their studies of how various cultures, anthropologists have adopted 2 major views with regards to how culture should be considered in comparison to other culture. First one is relativistic approach. It considers culture are equal. This view holds that there are no superior and inferior cultures and each is unique in its own way. The second one is ethnocentric approach. It is the belief that one's native culture is superior to other culture. Ethnocentric societies tend to have a negative view of other countries and people, mga racist ni sila. We have also other views of culture in comparison to other culture. The first one is ethnocentrism. This view diminishes or invalidates other ways of life and creates a distorted view of one's own. As a result, this could affect individual behavior and relationship with other cultures. Kumbaga, kaning views kay judgmental sila, ilahang gi-judge ang other culture. Next is xenocentrism. For them, no, their culture is inferior to others. So mga kuan sila, mga pahambol nga society. And yes, no, some of us share the perception that some aspects of Philippine culture are inferior, no, ubos ra compared to foreign cultures, particularly those of our former colonizers, Filipinos who have this perception kay considered as with the colonial mentality. So dapat be proud of our culture and don't kumbaga dili i-treat as inferior ta sa uban nga culture. And the last one is cultural relativism, in which it recognizes and accepts the cultural differences between societies. This view believes that every aspect of culture can be understood within the context in which the culture has been formed. So, mga understanding ni nga kind of society. Okay, let's proceed to the second discipline, which is again sociology. Sociology relates culture with overall context of social order, and there are different sociological perspectives that explain this order. First one is structural functionalism. It operates on the assumption that society is a stable and orderly system. Structural functionalists consider culture as a glue that binds society together, leading to social order. The second one is conflict theory. It assumes that there is a constant power struggle among the various social groups and institutions within society. Conflict theorists study the culture of dominant classes and analyze how this culture is imposed on other classes. And the third one is symbolic interactionism. This views individual and group behavior and social interaction as defining features of societies. And symbolic interactionalists believe that culture provides shared meanings to the members of society. The more meanings are shared, the more society ensures social order. Pol-sci, political science. It examines culture as a vital aspect of society. Culture, together with political socialization, is analyzed in order to explain political behavior such as voting patterns and behavior of leaders. Political science also looks into the decline of cultural domination by Western countries and the subsequent rise of multiculturalism. What does this mean? It is an ideology that acknowledges and promotes cultural diversity within society. Multiculturalism entails the establishment of political groups and institutions comprised of people from diverse culture. This view challenges the idea of the nation-state and the advancement of nationalist and ultranationalist policies. And the last term to unlock is cultural sensitivity. It encourages a critical stance in dealing with issues regarding diversity. This view believes that not all cultural practices, traditions, and views can be integrated and that distinct cultures can harmoniously coexist in society. This view advocates a respectful view of the uniqueness and distinctness of other cultures and encourages individuals and societies to guard against the ethnocentric and xenocentric views, as these are significant threats to cultural diversity and social stability. And that ends our lesson for today.